time to talk about your health. Living a primal lifestyle. Now your hosts, Nico DeHaan and Paige Clark.
Good morning, I'm Nico DeHaan. Welcome to Living a Primal Lifestyle, where we explore a return to a more balanced, natural, wild world.
To recover our natural health, our rights, and our freedoms. And I'm Paige Clark. Good morning.
Beautiful day here in downtown Clearwater. It's 72 degrees, going up to about 89, and we're in the summer pattern. So we're ready for it, though, aren't we?
That's right, and we're ready for your questions, too. So if you have any questions, please contact me, Paige at tfnn.com.
And me, Nico, at tfnn.com. We are also taking your phone calls at 877-927-6648.
Nico, what'd you do this weekend? You got into the bushes a little bit, huh? Doing a little yard work on Memorial Day weekend.
Well, actually, I did that last Monday, a week before.
Oh.
And about Thursday, I started getting a rash and knew immediately it was poison oak, which I had got hit with a couple of times before, but not like this. And I had survived poison ivy when I was a kid. The interesting thing about poison ivy, and I think this applies to poison oak too, is that once you get rid of it, it kind of stays in your body if you don't detox a lot.
Well, that's a really important point that you just made, because that's what we need to understand, that what drugs do, they mask symptoms, but it doesn't remove the toxin.
Yeah.
Whereas homeopathy, a natural medicine that really our country and world was built on, removes the source and goes deeper. So it's real important. And I think some things we're going to talk about indicate that actually happens. And I think this is a great show today for us, because we just got through Memorial Day weekend. Hope you all had a really healthy, fun Memorial Day. But here we are between Memorial Day, we're into the peak of the summer. We've got the 4th of July coming up and so forth. So we wanted to kind of talk about those outdoor activities today. You know, sunscreens, how to be healthy in the sun, how to get rid of poison oak.
Yeah, and my experience was when I was a kid, I had poison ivy, and once I got rid of it, it seemed to come back about every year around the same time for about maybe 7 years. The last couple of years, not very much, but the spots would always come up where I got it. This time I got it, I was gardening, and I saw this vine creeping up, and I just pulled it. Luckily, I had gloves on. It's not my hands, but it got me all the way down my arm and a little bit on the other arm. Of course, in the evening, a lot of times I'll take a sauna, and had a sauna, and that actually made it a little worse. But I thought we'd talk about this because, like you said, it's between holidays and a lot of things are happening. Now we're going out in the bush a little bit more, especially up north.
So how do you avoid it? Best is avoidance.
Yeah, that's right. Don't go around
Don't go doing so much yard work.
That's right.
But you know, it's funny too, because I grew up, I was always a tomboy girl, you know, and I was always in the woods and stuff. Somehow or another, I never got it. I cannot believe I didn't.
Lucky girl.
I was always pulling things. But yeah, from what I know, it is really quite something, and usually has about a 2-week track. And like you said, sometimes the heat and so forth can actually pull it out. And so let's talk a little bit about the strategies that you're going through as you're trying to get this resolved.
Yeah, of course, the itching is really bothersome, you know, and it's a deep itch, and you can't, if you scratch it, you make it worse, and it'll spread naturally. What I found really does help is icing it.
Right.
That really does help. It takes the inflammation away for like a couple hours, and then you have to redo it.
And that makes sense, because in Chinese medicine, it's a sign of heat and moisture. So a heat and moisture problem, and it's coming to the surface. So when you apply the opposite, yin-yang, you're going to get some results.
Yeah, in fact, the heat will drive it in further, and the cold will actually take it out. And now this plant has 3 almond-shaped leaflets that grow together. That's how you can define it. It's called leaves of 3. Let them be.
Yeah, let them be. That little thing. It's like red on black, friend of Jack.
Right, that's for the coral snake.
Red on yellow, kill a fellow.
Yep.
You know, those little wives' tale things are important.
Yep. And if you can remember it when the snake is in front of you, that's really important. So some of the other things take several hours for the symptoms to appear. Mine really didn't appear until probably 2 or 3 days later. I had a little itch, didn't know what it was, and then, you know, all of a sudden I go, oh, and then I remembered I was in the lawn. I was in the bushes, deep in the bushes.
So, you know, let's say this. You go and you go to a doctor. What does the doctor do? They give you a diagnosis, something like contact dermatitis, which sounds fancy for you've been in contact with something that's caused an irritation in your skin. And, you know, the typical course may be cortisone creams, steroids, and antihistamines. Again, things that will alleviate the symptoms but may not actually help you resolve that poison
No, I
exposure.
think the cortisone actually just that kind of masks it a little bit. You feel a little bit better, but it really doesn't help you heal.
Here's the point. All this will mask the underlying issues and drive the poison into your body where it will be stored and might surface years later. Plus, you'll then be asking your body to eliminate the steroid and the cortisone creams. So let's look at some of the things that you're doing naturally to help yourself recover from this. So you mentioned that you've been icing, and we also know that as opposed to heat and wetness, things that are astringent, like witch hazel and apple cider vinegar. You might not like smelling like apple cider vinegar. You could even add a few drops of lavender, but you can make a little mister and spray on there as it starts to itch.
Yeah, that'll be very helpful. Also, slippery elm bark is good for drawing the thistles and the splinters out of your body. And you can't really see them, but they're there, and that's what makes them itch. Of course, avoid heat. I made a mistake of going for an infrared sauna thinking it would help drive some of the poisons, but actually upon reading I found out that it was making it worse, so that's not good.
Hey, I'm going to say take a bath.
Yeah.
And you can put lots of great things in the bath to be healing and to help you. It can be a tepid bath,
I
maybe
found
not so
my
hot.
swimming pool actually helps too.
Oh, sure.
It's about 90 degrees right now, so it's not cool by any standard, but it's a lot cooler than the air, and it does feel good. And of course, I have a salt pool. I do the chlorine by salt, so actually the salt will help dry it out a little bit too.
So in your bath, you could put coconut milk, coconut water, Epsom salts. Any of the salts, Himalayan, Epsom, again, they're going to have that drying and drawing effect.
It says add a tablespoon of slippery elm powder to a bucket of water and soak the infected areas. This relieves the itch almost instantly and lasts for an hour or two.
That's interesting because slippery elm bark, I was sharing with you, is a really important herbal remedy for colon and soothing the colon and making sure things happen. I like the way the name kind of explains slippery elm. But that kind of gives you an idea. If it decreases rash and irritation, what do you think's maybe happening where we can't see? So these things have multi-purposes.
It says combine oatmeal and water in a blender and then cover the infected area with the paste, let it dry, and then rinse off with cool water. You can also make a mask of some kind.
Baking soda, aloe, a paste, anything that will kind of be cool and drawing, I think would be
apple
helpful
cider
to
vinegar,
you.
like you said. Treat the inflammation, the conflicting opinions about the use of ice, but ice really helped me a lot. In fact, last night, I went to bed pretty early, and about 3 hours later I woke up and it was itching like crazy. And then I put some of the calamine on it that didn't seem to help it, so I laid out and put an ice pack on the areas, and maybe for about 15 minutes, and then I was able to fall asleep.
Well, I know you're getting ready to go on your trip, so I'm looking forward to this getting better for you,
too,
and you
sure.
find the resolutions, but we'll be right back after this short break.
And the number here is 877-927-6648. Please pick up our Primal Edge and our Health Signals newsletter. Next week when I'm gone, we'll have a new one out here for you. And you got some great guests coming up next week.
That's right.
Cool. We're right back for you. Welcome back, folks. This is Nico and Paige on Living a Primal Lifestyle. We're really talking about summertime problems that come up.
Summertime fun, but summertime
there's
problems.
certain things, and I want to talk about bugs because, of course, the Zika virus is in the news, and they're linking that to mosquitoes. Whether they are or not, I don't think we really know because Zika's been around a long time. And mosquitoes have been around
I think
a long
Zika
time.
virus is more related to vaccines, but
well, vaccines could be one. The other thing is the use of poisons in the environment. These areas in Brazil, I know there was a lot of reports that they're using pesticides and fertilizers, and also using different things like pregnant women were given a certain certain vaccination, I think.
That's what I was saying. They were vaccinated, and also a lot of the Zika is showing up in places where they actually released mosquitoes, and God knows how they bred those mosquitoes. But getting to this point, natural bug repellents can actually be more effective and much safer than the chemical cousins, so to speak. And these biting insects can dampen your summer fun, but we want you to know that you can find safe and effective bug deterrent remedies, and you can make them yourself.
Yeah, Consumer Reports really says that only about 1/3 believe the products are safe on the market and for adults, and only about 23% of these products on the market for getting rid of the mosquitoes and biting insects are considered safe for kids. So you really have to be careful with children.
And it's justified, folks, because the chemical DEET, which has been used in hundreds and hundreds of over-the-counter mosquito repellent preparations and so forth has been shown to cause human brain and nervous system function. And children are particularly at a risk of this, folks. So we want to look to something that doesn't hurt us because, again, as we know, our skin is our largest organ, and anything we put on our skin, we are, in effect, ingesting. So it was interesting, Nico, because, you know, as an aromatherapist, I really encourage people, just as I was sharing with you about spraying on your skin for the poison oak and ivy, you can make your own healthy repellents with simply a base of witch hazel that you can buy at your grocery store, and then add a couple of certain essential oils. And here's a little bit of a study that was done on the two top performing essential oils were eucalyptus, lemon eucalyptus, also citronella. Citronella is the species. And there was another substance called picaridin. Now, interestingly, I had never heard of picaridin.
I haven't either.
Picaridin is a synthetic chemical made from black pepper. Okay, so I say, why don't you just buy essential oil of black pepper? Usually, any time the pharmaceutical company is looking for a way to make billions, they take something in nature and they alter it. And, you know, let's hope that this does, in fact, turn out to be a safe alternative, because I would rather see picaridin as a chemical additive to sunscreens than some of these others. And according to the overall assessment by the Environmental Working Group, which is a trusted source for safety, right now they show that the picaridin is a good DEET alternative with many of the same advantages, well, the same disadvantages. But if you'd like to really help get rid of your bugs and have a safe spray made, you know, look at lemon eucalyptus, citronella, and black pepper, and you can have a great deterrent right there.
Yeah, and some people aren't as susceptible to getting bitten as other people. I know I don't get get bitten as much as my wife does when we're out, but
I think it has a little bit to do with there's been some thoughts that the hormones, you know, affect it, and also possibly blood sugar levels at certain times could affect things.
So let's talk about DEET, because this is used in most of the over-the-counter things, and about 30% of Americans use DEET every year. But there's reasons why you shouldn't use them. And
it scares me because so many people are more afraid of the sprays than the bugs, because they're being told about all these viruses being spread by the bugs. But I feel that their risk is much higher exposing their skin. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's sad.
Well, of course, in children, the most frequent reported symptoms of DEET toxicity reported to the Poison Control Centers were lethargy, headaches, tremors, involuntary movements, I guess that's a big tremor, seizures and convulsions, things like rashes, skin mucus, membrane irritation, transient numbing or burning of the lips, dizziness, disorientation, difficulty concentrating. These are all similar things, headaches and nausea. And also, where's this one from the Duke University Medical Center here? They're saying...
they're saying the same thing, but another potentially harmful...
memory loss, headaches, muscle fatigue, shortness of breath, muscle pain, joint pain, and tremors.
Well, another potentially harmful chemical that you're seeing a lot of sprays is permethrin. And that's used for head lice a lot. You know, permethrin shampoos are used to get rid of head lice. And it's a member of this synthetic pyrethroid family, all of which are neurotoxic. Can you imagine how people, you know, and I went through it too. I'm telling you, all my kids got exposed to head lice. You know, there was a head lice scare at school, and we all went and bought those permethrin, and God, it's right there on our heads. By the neurotoxins.
Right,
you know, I wish I had known more now that there's some other ways to deal with that. So, you know, there's lots of non-chemical options to keep bugs away, you know, while you're having fun in the summer, and we want to have fun in our summer. And, you know,
well, you've got these diffusers that my wife uses outside. You've got certain candles, I think, that you can
citronella
burn.
candles, which is basically the lemon citrus eucalyptus. And, you know, here are some tips. You know, here's some tips. These are called the 3 Ds of protection to prevent mosquito breeding on your property, because really it's just like anything else. The ones that are going to be biting you are the ones that have set up households on your property. And that's drain. Mosquitoes require water in which to breed. So you need to walk around your house. Sometimes there's that garbage can lid that's unflipped up and the water's kind of pooled there. for some other reason.
Some pots that don't have holes in it. There's a lot of places, certainly. Swimming pool, I think, is okay. So
yes, well, I think the chlorine and stuff keeps them away.
And you have pet bowls, and you have gutters, garbage cans, like you said.
Bird baths even.
Spare tires, another one. Those things are laying all around. The other thing you can do is dress light colors, and cover as much skin as you can.
That's true. And then defend. While the AMCA recommends using commercial repellents, as we just discussed, we really recommend that you take a look at some of the natural alternatives and stay away from these chemical repellents, as we, essentially are eating anything we put on our skin, and try some of these natural alternatives.
Yeah. Now, body temperature and skin chemicals like lactic and acid attract mosquitoes, which explains why you're more likely to be eaten alive when you're sweaty and during exercise or after exercise. So try to stay as cool as you can. And some of the other things you can do.
Oh, this is an important one.
Yep.
I just remembered this.
Okay.
They say that mosquitoes, that they found that a deficiency of B1 is a sign. These are people that are going to get bit by the mosquitoes if you're deficient in thiamine.
Those people.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Some experts recommend actually supplementing B1 during the summer months from April. Obviously, if you're taking the Primal Edge, you don't have to worry about it because you're getting your B1 in there in absorbable
some other
form.
things. Cinnamon leaf oil. One study found it more effective at killing mosquitoes than DEET.
Yeah, I as an aromatherapist, I caution skin. If they're talking about skin, they don't state here. But I think cinnamon. There's safer oils, the eucalyptus, as we mentioned earlier. Clear liquid vanilla extract mixed with olive oil. Hey, that would smell pretty good.
Yep.
So if you're using that as maybe a sunscreen, wash with citronella soap and then put 100% pure citronella essential oil on your skin. We talked about that. And catnip oil.
A lot of cool stuff.
Yes, you need a lot of cool stuff to stay cool in the summer and bug-free. But we've got to take a little break, so we'll see you shortly. Give us a call.
877-927-6648. We'll be right back. Welcome back, folks. Nico and Paige here on Living the Primal Lifestyle. We're talking about summer things with bugs and sunscreen, and now we're going to grilling.
Yeah, we want to talk about grilling and chilling. That's what we're going to do all summer long. We hope you will, too.
Yes, we are. And we want to talk about grilling because there's a lot of things that can actually go wrong in your cooking if you make it the wrong way. And there's a lot of toxic chemicals that come from briquettes and things like that.
Yeah, it's called heterocyclic amines, or HCAs. And folks, this is what we hear about when we talk about the grilling of meat, these toxic chemicals and byproducts. But the truth is, you can do certain things to help reduce these toxic chemicals over 50%. And it's as simple as starting with marinating your meat. And I see this is probably something you do. I know you grill a lot, don't you?
Well, I use the broiler in the house too. But yeah, we do grill. It's the thing is, of course, you can make a lot of things ahead of time. In other words, partially cook, so you can still get that grilling taste and put it on a real high heat for just a couple of minutes, and the steak comes out very nice. So
when we talk about marinades, I just had a thought, because we know that marinades that have like apple cider vinegar in them are very effective at lowering these HCAs up to maybe, say, 50%. You said pre-cooking. That's really what something with a probiotic,
exactly.
with a microbiotic does.
Yeah,
the apple cider vinegar, the probiotics in it, the bacteria, healthy bacteria in it, are starting to break down the meat fibers for us. So that's a beautiful thought.
It is.
But we want to make sure when you make these marinades, we don't want you to go buy those rows and rows of factory-produced marinades. So I want to see if anyone tells us in the chat room why. Why would we not want to buy the bottled marinades? Because they're probably made from what? Soy oil.
Yeah, soy oil is one. It could be just bad chemicals.
Bad chemicals, high fructose corn syrup, toxic sugars. Make your own marinades and enjoy it. Just like you can make your own sunscreen, come up with your own concoctions. Use what's in your kitchen and you'll be fine.
Yeah, and of course all these articles that we're talking about will show up in the newsletter.
That's
coming
great.
Up. Not the next one, but the one after that. I'm usually about 2 weeks behind. But I want you to be able to do your own research on these things, so it'll sink in for a couple of weeks, and you can kind of think about it. And then if you get the newsletter, you can actually see what we're talking about and where we get this news from, because then you can dig deeper yourself if you want to.
And our newsletter has great links, so you don't have to worry about where we've found this research, you can link and go further down the rabbit hole. But talking about a marinade, opt for thin vinegar or lemon juice-based marinades. How easy is that? Some vinegar, apple cider vinegar, some lemon, rich in herbs and spices. Play around with it. Have fun. Pick your favorites. You may exactly want to add turmeric and garlic because those are two spices that have good evidence on lowering these damaging chemicals.
Yeah. Now, one of the things, too, of course, you have to start with really good food. And that's one of the biggest problems. So if you're cooking with factory-formed meat, you're making one of the biggest grilling mistakes there is. Drugs are common in these. In the agriculture today, there are harmful medications that are in these cows. It's not really a good scenario any way you look at it. And there's a different inspection services that detect medications like
ivermectin, which is an animal worm, or flunixin, a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory, penicillin, and ciprofloxacin, which is Cipro, the fluoride-based drugs. Folks, when we start cooking these foods, we're ingesting these. So as you know on this show, although we suggest that animal foods are part of a healthy diet. It's about eating the right parts of the animal, of which we don't really eat enough of. And it's also about making the right choices of where these are harvested and grown. So we really want to make those points.
Yeah, for sure. I've often thought that just because you're burning the meat doesn't necessarily mean that it's carcinogenic. A lot of people say that. And I really think that probably...
It's what's in the meat.
It's what's in the meat is more important because, a little charcoal on top. We use charcoal from husks to take poisons out of our body. So is this a natural way of your body, because the meat is burned and you eat some of that, it may be taking some of those toxins out?
All those drugs that these animals are being fed. It's like one of my mentors, Daniel Pompa, says, Dr. Daniel Pompa, it's not the meat, it's what we do to the meat. So remember, if you're grilling meat, always choose grass-fed organic options and choose organic veggies to grill along with it. Yeah,
now I see a lot of people when if they're using baked potatoes or even if they're grilling fish, they grill it in some tin foil.
Aluminum.
Heavy
metal.
Foil, yeah. Not a good idea, folks. Wrapping potatoes or even fish in aluminum oil is a with a dollop of butter is a fast, easy way to cook on the grill. But the problem is the aluminum foil has been shown to leak when exposed to high temperatures. And of course, on the grill, you're using high temperatures.
And the World Health Organization is showing that we have extremely high levels of aluminum, between the aluminum foil, aluminum cookware that restaurants use. Many of them don't have high quality.
Fluoride in the water from aluminum.
Yeah, but and the aluminum in the sprays that are being used for weather manipulation has caused astronomical aluminum levels. It's very important that you work with someone knowledgeable in helping you to clean your body of that, because we have, I call it lipotoxicity. That's my new word. Lipotoxicity, that's fat toxicity. So we're storing all these toxins in our fat. And we need to learn how to release them. And that's what I'm really focusing my work on now.
Yeah. A 2011 study published in the Internal Journal of Electrochemical Science also found that exposing food in aluminum foil to heat causes leaching to occur in levels that could be considered unacceptable by the World Health Association.
And this is the number 4. You use non-stick cookware. Non-stick cookware is a chemical soup itself. These non-stick grilling accessories, the grates, the griddle pads, the pans, the mats, all this non-stick cookware has chemicals in it that have been linked to obesity, abnormal thyroid hormones, and toxicity to brain, liver, prostate, and kidneys. It may require more elbow grease during cleanup, but skip the non-stick cookware and use ones without the chemical cookware.
And really, good pans are a godsend. Stainless steel is still questionable.
And a lot of people don't understand how to use their stainless steel. Like some younger folks I've talked with say, I always have things stick to it. It's really important that you preheat the pan. If you get the pan hot and then add your food, but if you just slap the pan on there, warm it up, and then put your food in, you're going to get sticking. It's when you get it hot, take some water and go, psh, and if the water bounces off of it, you've got it hot enough.
Good choices are ceramic. Cast iron is another great one. I cooked with cast iron for
I've got seasoned cast iron pans that my family has had.
They last for hundreds and hundreds of years.
They're like family heirlooms.
And I now cooking mostly ceramic, non-toxic ceramic stuff, and that works really well. And the same thing, you heat it up a little bit first so it doesn't stick as much. and it's really easy to take
And a final
care of,
tip is you fail to pre-cook. The American Institute for Cancer Research highly recommends pre-cooking meat before firing it on the grill. This helps reduce drippings on the grill. Again, we are going to say, is it the drippings that are toxic, or is it the meat that we're buying at the big box stores, which is not organic, and it's factory farmed and fed antibiotics and pesticides and so forth, been eating grass that's been sprayed with Roundup? Is it those chemicals that are burning in the drippings? These can be turning into polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. So partially cooking your meat on the stove, maybe parboiling it. Is that what they're saying? Kind of like
you can actually put it on the grill inside for a little while, but boiling it is a real good way. And then you got you're halfway there. And in fact, there's a lot of recipes that really call for that when you're cooking duck and things like that. So
I really love crock pot cooking. I cooked a great roast this weekend, and that's kind of a nice low. Take it low and slow, and maybe we don't have all that
we
stuff.
had pork tips in our crock pot this weekend too. They were
nice.
Fabulous.
Got to take a break here for a second, folks.
We've got a few more things to say, so let's stick around, please. The number here is 877-927-6644.
Welcome back. I kind of want to get right into some questions we had on the chat room. We're living a primal lifestyle. We're talking about grilling and chilling and staying healthy and having fun and comfortable during these summer months. And we had a comment that maybe the drippings created a lot of great flavor and the lean steaks don't taste as good or as tender, especially when grilled with charcoal. And Nico, I don't know, maybe you can talk to this a little bit more, but one of the things I like to suggest to my clients is when you're using leaner grass-fed, and grass-fed meat is leaner in appearance, but there are still some fattier cuts. You can get the fattier cuts of grass-fed.
Ribeyes.
The ribeyes and the chuck roast. Let me tell you something. You take a chuck roast and pan sear it just to kind of brown a little bit. Stick it in the crock pot before you leave for work. When you come home, it'll be, I call it mulch. Mulch?
Oh, yeah.
It just comes apart with your fork.
Yeah.
But pre-marinating, as we said, with some of these delicious spices is a great way to help those little microbes in, say, apple cider vinegar and so forth to help break down those muscle fibers and make the meat more tender. So I encourage people to do a little at-home marinating.
Okay.
So,
we think of aging as something we do alone. The change is unfolding according to each person's own traits and experiences. But researchers are learning that as we age in relationships, we change biologically to become more like our partners than we were in the beginning.
How cool is that? Long-time couples get in sync in sickness and in health. And it's really fascinating because they looked at married couples who were together less than 20 years and couples that were together for more than 50. And the colleagues all found striking similarities between partners who have spent decades together, especially in their kidney function, in their total cholesterol levels, in the strength of their grip, which is a key predictor of mortality. They presented their findings at the annual meeting of the Gerontological Society of America. Now, when I hear about those key findings, that could also indicate kidney, cholesterol. Most likely they've been together eating the same foods together.
Yeah.
Right?
And doing similar activities.
Doing the similar activities, levels of fitness and so forth. So very fascinating.
It makes me think of something that maybe if we have a general practitioner that we were going to see, maybe as a couple we should at least have a consultation so together we're examined in a way.
And that's one of the things they suggest here.
Really?
They suggest, I'm trying to find it here. It says it's like finishing each other's sentences, but it's your muscles and cells that are now operating in sync. Well, that doesn't surprise me one bit because I believe that we are really, that it's really cellular communication that is a big part of it.
Looking at married couples who were together less than 20 years.
Yeah, that's what I just read.
Is that the one?
Yeah,
okay.
But they often said, I saw it somewhere here, but they did mention that they suggest that people take a look at their partners. If they're, one partner's having some trouble, kind of see what's going on because of the similarities.
Well, certainly you hear a lot of times when some people have been together for many, many years and then one passes away and almost immediately the other one starts going into that direction too.
How about that? True cell resonance. It says they also found the effects crossed over from not just physical similarities, but from the the mental side. And in other words, increases in feelings of depression in one spouse led to more daily task limitations or depression in the other one. So
they also found that the effects cross over from mental to physical, which is cool. Yeah, this is something I think we've known instinctively, and I've been with Ellen for 21 years, and can hardly imagine any life without her. And
couples that play together stay together.
Yeah, and maybe it is better that way if you decide to go together.
Well, and that's great because they say the implications for health care are really clear. People in relationships don't experience chronic health problems on their own. When a spouse comes in with a problem, the other spouse could be a part of the cause or part of the solution.
Yeah.
So that's good news, that we can really encourage each other and work together to stay healthier. And this was actually interesting. It was written by a graduate student, freelance science writer in Tampa, Florida.
Yeah,
that's kind of neat.
That? Yeah, I think it's cool. It's,
Lindsay Peterson.
It's really something how couples that stay together, it's really a special thing. That's for sure. I saw it in my parents. I'm seeing it now with my wife. And of course, close friends are the same way.
That's right.
There's a hole when they're not there anymore, for sure. Thanks for sticking around, folks.
Thanks for seeing the show. We'll see you next time. Have a great week.
Bye-bye.
You're watching Tiger TV.